Welcome back. This story is called Vanessa. Vanessa was a escort, professional. I met her back in the early 2010s through Backpage, which they don't have anymore, but that's where you used to meet women like this. I went and met her at a motel on 1792, and spent some time with her in her room. Did not have sex with her. I did not have intercourse with her, but she did give me a hand job. And when she did that, she gave me the hand job, and I had an orgasm. She said to me, "Boy, you really needed that." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." Kind of like a personal observation from a professional. I noticed on her arms she had track marks on her arms, and I said something about heroin, and she said, "No, I don't use heroin. I use Dilaudid." She said that she would buy these pills, these Dilaudid pills, for $30 a pill. She would do one before she had a customer, and then she would do one after the customer left, including me. And to me, that was like, that's $60. I mean, that's basically half the money that you're making. So I felt bad for her because I knew she would never get ahead. Eventually, she moved into another motel, and she lived there. She had a cat, she had a little toaster oven, and this was her place. I began seeing her every Friday night. Every Friday night, I would go over there because my ex was taking my daughters to synagogue, to temple, for Friday night services. So I was free on Friday nights. I would tell my ex that I was going to an AA meeting. In fact, I was going to see Vanessa. At one point, I was in an airport, and I got a keychain that had her name on it, Vanessa, on the keychain. And I gave it to her the next week. I said, "Hey, I got you a present." And she looked at it. She had a really funny expression on her face. I'm like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "My name's Patricia." I'm like, "Patricia? Why didn't you tell me that? I mean, I've been seeing this girl for months, and she never told me her name was Patricia." So I felt bad, and she felt bad about the keychain. She told me that she grew up in West Virginia, and when she was 6 years old, a social worker came to her classroom and told her that she's not going home that night after school. She was going right into foster care. She told me that her parents were disabled. That was the word she used, disabled. And she also told me they were both obese, but didn't go into any details as to why they were unable to care for her, but apparently that was a decision. She and her brother were separated and moved into foster care. She stayed in foster care until she was about 14 years old. When she was 14, she was adopted by a family in Kansas. So she went from West Virginia to Kansas. At the same time, this couple adopted a 6-year-old girl, not related to Vanessa, but some other 6-year-old girl. And Vanessa told me that the couple gave all their attention to the 6-year-old and none of their attention to her. And remember, she was 14. And she told me that she was, acting out because she was in foster care. She's 14 years old. She's a girl. And the couple went back, took the adoption. They canceled the adoption. They reversed the adoption. They unadopted her. And they sent her back to West Virginia, where she finished out her time as in foster care. Interestingly, I came across a statistic somewhere within the last 5 years that's told me that 70% of women who work in the sex industry were in foster care. 70%, including Vanessa. I thought to myself, "Oh my God, that's like a scathing indictment, right, of the foster care system. All these women going into the sex trade." One day I was in Goodwill, and I came across this tray right here, and I said to myself, "This reminds me of Vanessa's pussy." So I bought it, and I've held on to this tray for like the last 10 years, and I've had it in my house with Susan after I married Susan. Never told her what the tray was. She knew who Vanessa was because I told her about Vanessa, and so that would have been something that wouldn't have worked well in the marriage. One night I went over to the motel, and I saw her. And that night we actually smoked pot, which we had never done before. So I took a couple of hits, she took a couple of hits, and she said, "I don't want any more because it's gonna ruin my high from the Dilaudid." That night, now judge me if you want, she shot up in front of me. Let me tell you what happened. She had her pill, her little Dilaudid. She was sitting at a chair. I was sitting next to her. She had a spoon, just like a heroin junkie, you can imagine. She put some water in this dilaudid and she crushed it up. So now she's got this little mixture. She heated it. She had this lighter, unlike any lighter that I've ever seen. I don't know where she got it. I was too embarrassed to ask her. But when you turns it on, it had two like butane flames, like blue flames, like this, like that, pointing to each other from the lighter. Like it was like a Zippo, but it had two flames like that. And I was like, whoa, she must have gotten that somewhere. Oh, also, I asked her where she got her needles because she was shooting up. She told me that all you have to do to get needles is to go to Walgreens and tell them that your grandmother is a diabetic, and they'll sell you needles. I'm like, really? I didn't realize it was that easy to get needles. She also had condoms, okay? The condoms were like in a ring, like on a chain, like a key chain, and there must have been like 100 of them. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. All the same condoms on this little chain that she had in her bedroom. One time, I bought her a pair of handcuffs from Fair Villa, the same place where you get dirty magazines, and I gave it to her, and we eventually had some fun playing with the handcuffs. But on this particular night, I watched her shoot up. She was sitting on her chair with the lighter and the drugs. She took a belt, a real leather belt, and she strapped it to her arm. I'm like, my God, this is just like in the movies. So she's holding she's got the arm strapped in like that, and she told me that all of her veins in her arms had collapsed, and she would shoot into the back of her hand. And I looked at the back of her hand. Her back of her hand was covered with scars, and she told me sometimes it takes up to 20 minutes to find a vein. Well, there was one little opening I saw that if she just put the needle right into it, it was like a little cave, and it would go right into her skin. But I didn't say anything. And sure enough, after about 5 minutes, she's like, oh, I'll try this. And she put it right into the spot that I thought she was going to put it into, and into her veins like that. And she repeated that process after I left, not, with me not there. Well, that night, like I said, I've been seeing Vanessa for a while. I bought her t-shirts. I used to go to Goodwill to buy t-shirts. She liked orange and green, so I bring her orange and green t-shirts. And that night, she had a t-shirt on that I'd given her. One time, she actually sent me a photograph of herself in the motel room wearing one of the shirts that I got her. Just a photo just for me, just for my own use. And she was about 26. She and I listened to music together. She liked this band called Taking Back Sunday. That's a band that I heard of. She had other bands that she liked. I got turned on to new music by listening with her. And we just generally had a great relationship beyond the sex. And the sex was good. Now, let's not be confused here. The sex was great. That night, the same night that she shot up, I'm getting ready to leave. This was at the end of the hour. And I'm getting my stuff together. And I said to her, look, there's something I have to tell you. I said, I love you. I said that to her. She's an escort. I said, I love you. I said, I can't keep it to myself anymore. I'm just going to say it. I love you. And she said, I love you too. I'm like, okay. I said, well, if you want to be with me, you want to be my girlfriend, number one, you got to give up prostituting. Can't prostitute anymore. 2, you got to give up the drugs. And 3, you got to give up your boyfriend, because she had this shady boyfriend who went and actually got the drugs for her and brought him back. So she said, great, great, great. She was all in favor of everything. So I went home that night. I was on cloud 9. I was over the moon. I get home. Well, that night, my ex did not take the girls to synagogue. They were home. So I walked in. My wife starts screaming at me, where were you? Where were you? And I was like, I was at the meeting. I was at the A meeting. She smelled the marijuana on my breath. My ex did. She goes, you were smoking pot. And she takes her finger and she sticks it in my eye like this and to pull my eye down. I'm like, hey, get your hands off me. Well, it turned into a big fight. And I said to her, I'm leaving. I said, I'm leaving. I'm leaving you right now. And she called the police for some reason. I don't know why. I got my bag. I got a bag, my clothes. I kept the bag ready just in case. I was in the car about to pull out of the driveway. A cop comes around the corner with a gun, pointed at me, said, get out of the car, get out of the car. So I got out of the car. And I ended up waiting like 45 minutes with these 2 cops while there were other cops in the house talking to my ex. Eventually they came out and said, you have to leave. We're not going to arrest you. You have to leave. I didn't do anything, to get arrested, except, tell her that I was leaving. He said, you have to leave. You can't stay here. So I went back to the hotel to where Vanessa was. And this was like, 10:30 at night. I get up to her room. She's standing outside. I'm like, Vanessa, you wouldn't believe what happened. My wife kicked me out of the house. The cops told me blah, blah, blah. She was pissed. She was totally pissed at me. She goes, what are you doing here? Don't show up here. My boyfriend's about to come back, meaning that the boyfriend had gone down the hall to pick up a pill. She goes, my boyfriend's going to be right back. Get out of here. Go away. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it was a total change from, an hour and a half earlier when she was telling me that she loved me. So I left. I said, I'm sorry, I left. I went to a hotel, my own hotel, stayed there, wrote her an email, or a text. She and I were communicating with text. And I said, I'm sorry, what's wrong? Are we still going to get together? All that kind of stuff. And she wrote back, she goes, I have anxiety. That's what she said. I have anxiety, and you triggered my anxiety over the top. I never want to see you again. So I went from thinking that I was going to be with this woman, that she was in love with me, and the next day, never saw her again. And that was the story of Vanessa. Don't forget to read my book, Broccoli Time by Dante Allen, available now on Amazon Books.